Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
So it's already recorded, so I'll just begin.
Okay.
So
still recording now.
Yeah. So just introduce yourself.
Okay. So to the camera. Okay.
To me, I think.
Okay. We were founded 15 years ago. Actually, after I graduated from university, my first job is in an educational company. And then our company started with the teaching program. I felt like I really love teaching. And I brought my dream of, starting my own school. And in the case, my company has shut down the schools. So I decided to start my own school. I was the first teacher. I have the great passion for teaching. So when we first started school, it was only 70 square meters with only one classroom. We have just a few students to start with. And right now we grow into 4 schools in Beijing and also 1 international kindergartens. 4 schools for language learning schools.
Okay.
So what made Dotkids grow from a little school, tiny school, into now we have around 2,000 students and 170 teachers, including 25 are foreign teachers. I think what makes the school grows bigger and bigger is we really care about education. We care about the students. We have the passion for education. So we take teaching very seriously. This is the big difference between Dotkids and other schools. You know that in China, just too many schools. We've been running for 15 years. We're not growing that, fast. The reason for that is because we focus on teaching a lot. We want to make sure, we can be slow, but we want to make sure each step we go forward is a stable one. We have to be responsible for the students and also the teachers. So in the past 15 years, I mainly focus on the teaching part, especially on the recruiting part and also the training part. Right now, my position at the school, I'm the founder of the school, of course, but I'm still focusing on the management part and also the teaching part. One of my big part of work is to pick the right teachers to our team, because the teachers are the core of the schools.
So how do you find the right teacher?
Part of our teachers were recommended by their friends here. Our teachers recommend their friends here, and also we have some online ads too, and some good agencies we work with.
Okay. So you said you have over 120 teachers, right?
170 teachers.
How long does the average teacher stay for?
The Chinese or the foreign teachers?
Foreign teacher.
Foreign teachers, we have 24, 25 foreign teachers for now. Some teachers stay long. We have the longest teacher here, Paul. He's been with us for 10 years.
Well, that's a long time.
Yes, you can meet him later.
Okay.
I think he joined us 2009, and we were very small at the time. And then Paul has seen the school grow. We opened a school. Paul wow, Tina, we have a new school. And then we open another one. Paul Tina, another one, and then another one. Kindergartens. We're growing. So the reason I think you can ask, you can interview him maybe later. I think he just really liked the feeling of our relationship and also our attitude towards teaching. So we respect the teachers a lot, and we believe in communications. The school culture, we believe in professionalism and dedication. So I think our teachers really like the culture of the school, and that's the main reason they decide to stay. And also, you're going to meet Crystal and Walter. They've been with us for, I think, around 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and they still have over a year and a half contract. So they really like us.
So why should people choose China over Japan or South Korea?
You got a good question.
Yes.
So for teaching overseas, we've had many teachers. They have different experience in different countries, and the reason for China, I think one is China is the fastest growing country. Is going to be as same big as the U.S. or
like economically.
Yes. And the second one is China is very safe. Pretty much all our teachers felt like pretty much this is the safest city, especially Beijing. Focused at right at the corner of the right at a part of the government. Pretty much everywhere you see the police. So if people want to go to Beijing, come into Beijing, the security check is very serious. So there's no possibility for any bad things happen inside. Especially Beijing.
Yeah, there's security guards on every bus and every subway.
Yes, you feel that.
Yeah.
And the third reason, I think it's the main reason, is the people here are very warm-hearted, and the foreigners here are very respected, especially foreign teachers. Our parents and students really respect and love the foreign teachers a lot. When our teachers get sick, the parents bring dumplings, food, and go their home if the teacher are okay to see. So it's like people's relationships are very close. I had a teacher told me about his experience in Japan. He says, although everybody is very polite, but there's still a huge distance between people. But in China, he felt people are very friendly and close. So the feeling is great. And for economic reason, as I heard from many teachers, like pretty much teaching all over the world, in China, you have the most comfortable life, the most respected position, and also you can save the most money.
Low cost of living.
Yes, the living cost here in China is very low. Even in Beijing, like our government make sure the price maintain very reasonable level. So the living cost is quite low. For foreigners, they can save comparatively a lot, even than their native countries. So all these reasons.
Yeah. So if someone's never taught English before, why should they teach English in the first place?
When we recruit new teachers, what we see as the most important is your personality.
Okay.
Because our requirements are very high. We only need native teachers from either U.S. or Canada or British, only the three, Australia, the 4 countries. And the U.S. Teachers are our main majority part of teachers. We have, I think, 80% U.S. teachers and around 15% Canadian teachers, and right now we have only 1 British teachers. So right now we have more Canadian teachers than usually.
Oh, okay.
So it's usually because most of our agencies are in the U.S., so they brought us U.S. Teachers.
U.S. teachers, of
yes,
course.
if we have the, we can go through this, then I think we can have more Canadian teachers.
Okay.
And also because we have the native teachers, and we have the good training. We see number one important is your personality, then your experience, because we are super good at training new teachers. We have a very mature training system. Before you start teaching, and while you're teaching, there'll be people go into your classroom and give you suggestions, and we do practice before class, and then we have the teacher meeting every week, teacher seminars every week to talk about the classes. And also in class, our teachers have co-teachers in classroom to help. So for new teachers, usually they will take around, let's say around 2 months, 2 to 3 months to be very comfortable for teaching. And after half a year or a year, their teaching skills improve a lot.
Yeah, you get better as you go.
Yes, a lot of our teachers, when they go back home, they decide to be teachers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what happens when the teacher gets to the airport?
Excuse me?
So, what happens when a teacher arrives at the airport? You guys come and pick them up?
Of course. Okay. Let me tell you the whole process.
Tell me the whole process,
Okay.
please.
So it's first we meet the new teacher. We have the interview online by Skype, and usually our interview will be 1 or 2, and after the interview, we're going to send the teachers the contract and the offers, and also the whole process of how to deal with Chinese visa, working visa, because all of our foreign teachers, 100%, they are holding legal working visa. This is super important.
Why don't you get that?
No. Okay. Sorry for this.
No worries.
This is very important.
It's very important that they have a proper visa.
Yes. Because to be honest, in China, just over half of teachers are not on the right visa. But these years, the government is very strict.
They're cracking down, yes.
Yes, so they've deported many people who are working illegally. So the teacher needs to find a legal company, legal school to have the legal visa. So this is, Dotkids insist on 100%. We have to 100% legal on everything. The school is legally registered at Educational Bureau.
Yes.
And our teachers are having legal visa, which is very important. So for this, the teacher need to have the bachelor degree, and also the TOEFL certificate for some situation. Okay. So the whole process is we interview, and then we send a contract offer. They sign a contract and send it back to us, and then we start with the visa process. So in order to get working visa, the teachers need to have a degree and also background check. And some teachers, if they have less than 2 years experience after graduation, they also need to have a TOEFL certificate. We have a friend company who can help with this and to offer a TOEFL certificate for that. So the 3 documents need to be authenticated from the Chinese consulate back home in Canada. And also, after they get this, they need to send it to us, and we start to apply for the working visa process. It will be about 3 to 4 weeks for this application process. And for the authentication, it depends on where the teachers are, usually around 2 weeks for that.
So a little bit more than a month until they can come.
Yes. If they're close to Chinese consulate, that's easier. If they live very far, they're using agency, the time might be a little bit longer. So usually we leave at least a month and a half just in case. 2 months will be great.
2 months would be good.
Yes.
So then all the paperwork's done, they fly in.
Let me continue.
Okay,
continue. All the paperwork's done. We send it back to him. He go to the Chinese consulate to apply for working visa to come in with, and then book the ticket, send us the information. We go to meet the teacher at the airport. So he come in with a legal visa, and then we pick him up from the airport and settle him down into our school apartment. We have I think around 5 or 6 school apartment, which each apartment has 3 bedroom, So we'll be 3 teachers in the apartment. Each teacher will have his own bedroom.
Okay.
And then all our teachers will help around with a new teacher because that's the school culture. All the teachers were helped when they first arrived, so they would like to help with all the new teachers. Our culture is very friendly here. People are like family, so they always help each other. And we have teachers to show where to shop and where to eat. Show the new teacher around the local area, and then register the police station, open bank account, set him a mobile phone service, pretty much everything. And we offer 24-hour emergency call. So even the teacher gets sick or have something emergency happen, we'll be there right away. So we make sure the teacher feel very comfortable. And after that, we'll give the teacher 1 or 2 days to rest, and then start training. The training will be around a week, and then shadow some classes, and then start teaching, and then training again, and teaching training and seminars. So it's like this. Let's make this easy, so that if you need a easy, part for the process. So first step is we have the interview with the teacher. So once we decide, we send over the contract and the working visa process. And then the teacher sign the contract and send it back to us. And then start the visa procedure. First, the teacher need to get authentication documents from the local country of the university grade background check and maybe TOEFL certificate. After get the authentication, they send it to us. Then we continue with the working visa application process, and then we send them back so that they can apply for working visa to come in. And then they book the ticket and arrive in China. We go to meet them from the airport, and we help them with the local registration, mobile phone bill service, bank account, show their around the local area, where to eat, where to go. And all our foreign teachers are very helpful in this case at this time for the new teachers. So we make sure the new teacher feel very comfortable and happy here. And I always had a talk with our new teacher around a week after they landed. All of them feel very comfortable and happy. They all said it's much easier than they expected.
That's good. Okay. So you mentioned the apartment. It's shared by 3 people?
Yes, it's a 3-bedroom apartment. Each of the teacher will have their own bedroom.
Okay.
But they're going to share the big living room and bathroom and the kitchen with the other 2 foreign teachers.
So what if someone just wanted to have their own apartment?
Then they can take the school apartment fee.
Yeah.
And then we help them.
Like a stipend, yeah.
Yes, we help the teacher to find their own studio around here.
That's fine.
It's okay. It's no problem.
Yeah, you must have some people that don't want to share apartments.
Most new teachers, they like to stay, especially for young teachers. They want to get to know more people, because usually we give they stay with our old teachers, so the old teachers will help them to eat around and to get to know the local area, to get to know the school. So it's very helpful for them.
That makes sense.
Some teachers choose to move out after 1 semester, and some teachers they choose to stay for 2 or 3 years. We have many 2-3 year teachers. They're still staying.
They still stay together?
Yes, staying in the apartment. They feel very comfortable.
Oh, okay.
And very convenient. We deal with everything for apartment.
Gotcha. Okay. What other questions? I think we covered most of things. So people ask me this all the time, and it's a very simple question, but I'll have you explain it. Explain why teachers do not have to speak Chinese to teach English.
This is our teaching method, teaching logic. We believe in immersion way of learning the language. So the reason we have our foreign teacher only speak English here is we kind of have the students have no excuse that they can understand with their native language, with Chinese. So if we always translate for them, then whenever they don't understand, they will ask, what does it mean in Chinese? So they have the mind leaning on the Chinese. But we don't explain, we don't say any Chinese in class. So they have to force themselves in guessing and thinking. So this form a good habit of learning the language, just like your native language.
Exactly.
You have to think.
Good answer. So how big are class sizes? Like what is the maximum amount of students in one class?
We have two kind of classes. The language learning school, which you're staying at now. Our schedule is for the evening and the weekend. Our classroom size is no more than 13, 14 students per class, with one Chinese co-teacher who speaks English. For another one, because we have also kindergarten classes, the time is for weekday in the morning around 8:30 to lunchtime, 11:30, afternoon from 2:30 to around 4. So for that class, international kindergarten, we have 20 kids per class at the most, with 2 or 3 co-teachers.
Okay. Let's see what else I had. I think that's pretty much it. So why is ESL important for the world? So why is it important for the teachers and for the students?
Why English is important?
Yes. Why is it important for Chinese students to learn English?
English is an international language. It's like it's a living tool you have to master as an international person, right? Especially for the young children, they're going to, when they grow up, it's going to be a Earth village. So it's a whole big country. So everybody need to communicate to see the world, and the basic thing is you have to speak, be able to talk, communicate with other people. It's like nowadays you have to learn to drive a car. It's like a basic tool. In Canada, you survive. So English is the basic thing they have to. For us, we not only teach English, but more we teach is the international thinking, the view, the vision, and the culture. We want our students not only just learn the language, they're able to speak English. That's something they have to do. More important, how they think as an international person. They have to learn culture. They have to learn things, the culture behind the language. That's why we have foreign teachers. We insist on, from our first day, foreign teachers to teach English. Because Chinese people can speak English too, but we don't have the culture behind us. We have our teachers have a lot of freedom in class. Although they have teaching plans they need to follow, but they can do a lot of extension based on their background. For instance, we have teachers who are very good at science. So he brought in a lot of science experiment and science ideas into his teaching related with the teaching plan. And we have one teacher who are fans of trains. In his classroom, you see the walls, all kind of trains in all kind of countries.
Twins?
Trains.
Oh, trains.
Train, yeah.
Oh, trains.
Train. So it's a train teacher.
Yeah, train teacher.
So we allow our teachers to show your own character, something you're good at. Because you love it. The things you loved, you can share it well.
What you're enthusiastic about. Okay, I think that's it. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Alright, so just introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Crystal. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm 37 years old. I've lived in China for about 5 years, going on my 6th year, and I've been teaching since I arrived.
So why did you decide to teach English?
I know that I want to be a teacher, so whether it's here, in the States, any other country, doesn't matter. I want to teach. initially I wanted to teach history, but that's back in the States. So when I came here, teaching English, math, science didn't really matter.
Okay. So why did you choose China over Japan or South Korea?
I'm from Los Angeles. I grew up there, lived there all my life, and just wanted something totally different. And I felt like you can't get much different than China. And also, they had the most opportunities. In terms of pay, the pay is really good here, but also I wanted what I thought was going to be so different than Los Angeles. It didn't turn out that way, but it just felt like the best fit.
Okay, so why did you choose Beijing?
They had the best jobs here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah, it might have changed by now, but.
So what's the most rewarding thing about teaching English?
Golly, I would say when you see it just click in their heads, right? I teach very young kids, so my students are 3 or 4 and 5 and 6. Most of them are in that age range. So sometimes you feel like you're spinning your wheels and nothing's happening, and then just one day little Johnny gets it, and then he's solid for the following weeks, and anything that I teach he gets it. So I think that's probably the best part. You definitely have a lot of I'm going to take that back. You don't have a lot of frustrations, but you have a lot of confused looks initially because you're speaking a totally foreign, different language, of course. But they do get it, and they love it, and they have fun, and I think as a foreigner, they treat us differently because they know that we treat them differently, right? So there's a major difference that I've seen in public school teaching and then teaching in my class. So we're not as strict. We're not as we don't demand respect out of fear, right? So we treat them like our friends, and that's not always what I've seen in the public schools here. So, yeah.
All right, so would you recommend Dotkids and why?
So Dotkids is the first school I worked at, and it's the only school I've worked at outside of 1 year at a public school, but that was for a relationship. So my boyfriend worked there, and we wanted to work at the same school, so I went to that school, and then about a year and a half ago almost, we came back to Dotkids. We actually met while working at Dotkids, and then yeah, so Dotkids has been very good to both of us. But I think what I really liked is that whether you're a morning person or a night person doesn't really matter. A lot of the classes are in the evening during the week, and then you have fuller Saturday and Sundays, but I'm a night owl, or I was a night owl, so having class at maybe 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening was great because then I can just stay up late, wake up late, go to work, and that worked for a long time. And actually my boyfriend and I moved back to Dotkids to teach at a kindergarten, an international kindergarten, and that was during the day, during the week. So I switched from night owl to having to wake up really early, but it was beautiful. I really enjoyed working there, and it was, all day with the kids, and so that's the reason why I came back. But I think Dotkids, you're surrounded by people who enjoy their job. The foreign teachers, the Chinese teachers, the supervisors. I secretly stay sometimes for our supervisors because they protect us from parents and from just the frustrations that you can feel in a classroom and having language barriers with the kids and with the parents. So I personally have never really had a reason not to want to work at Dotkids.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about living in China?
Oh, shucks. The fact that I don't speak very good Chinese and I don't understand what most people say.
You like the not understanding?
I do. Yeah, I love it. I mean, if I have to get around, I understand and can speak enough of it, but I also have my phone that is very helpful. But I find that when I go back home, and even if it's simple, like going to the coffee shop and wanting to read, I can't because I can understand everything around me. But
Oh,
here,
okay. It's white noise?
yeah, I drown it out, and it's lovely, and it's so easy to travel around here.
Mhm.
It's so cheap, and not just in China, but around Asia itself. Like you can get anywhere and everywhere, and
It's cheap.
Yeah, it's not going to cost a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Chinese food?
Oh shucks. Okay, it changes.
Right now, what is your favorite Chinese food?
It's like a fried chicken piece in peppers.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's usually you can have it with bread, like little cubes of bread. So it's a Muslim dish.
Yeah.
And it's delicious.
Sounds good.
And Beijing roast duck, of course. It's really good.
So what's your most memorable class moment?
My most memorable class moment. Let's see. My most recent is my kids who are 4 just making fun of me. That's the best because one, they can communicate that they're making fun of me. So it's simple. Like usually I tell them, or I will say, "Oh, did you eat Crystal?" And they will say, "No," because they think that's weird that they would eat their teacher. But eventually they get to a point where like, "Yes, I did, and she was yummy," you know. So it's the little moments like that, or when they just get me. Like I do rapid fire questions every class, and so when my kids can just throw me off of my game, usually I just ask one question and I'll say, "Oh, what animal do you like?" I have some kids who will answer it 5 different ways, you know, and they won't let me talk. And I love that because they feel comfortable, they're learning the language, so yeah, it's those little moments.
All right, so use one word to describe your career teaching English in China.
Okay. I feel like the cheesy answer is rewarding, because I'm supposed to say that as a teacher, but in all honesty, fun.
Fun. Fun is your one word.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have
and
a lot
why
of
is it fun?
Because if you allow the energetic kids to make you go crazy, then you'll go crazy. But if you just use it and harness it in a way that's beneficial, and you just show them that you can still have fun even if you have a lot of energy, or just be naughty. Like it doesn't matter how you act in class, we're still gonna have fun. I'm still gonna like you. I'm not gonna make you feel bad about coming to class. It's still just gonna be a fun environment. So even the kids that do drive me up the wall, I still have a lot of fun with them. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
All right, well, that's it.
Yay!
Thank you. All right, so introduce yourself.
My name's Walter. I am from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've been teaching English in China now for 5 years. I've lived in Chongqing, which is in northeastern China, for a year, and then I've been living here in Beijing for 4 years.
Okay. So why did you decide to teach English?
I decided to teach English because the job market in Albuquerque was absolutely terrible.
So you had to go all the way around the world to find a job.
Yeah, so I moved across the Pacific Ocean to find work.
Okay, so why did you choose China? Surely you could have found the same job in Japan or South Korea.
Yeah, it was the first opportunity that I had, and I just wanted to get out of the States. So I just jumped on the first
flight out.
Yeah. I got an email. I was shooting off emails to jobs everywhere and anywhere, and someone suggested teaching English in China.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll see. And I sent off my resume to a couple of places, and then the school in Chongqing got back to me, and 3 months later I had my passport and I was on a plane.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you, what's the most rewarding thing about teaching English?
I love the kids, really. It's great to be someone who they get to come see and enjoy their time with. Most jobs that I've had are not that rewarding. You're usually either sitting in front of a computer or serving food, or something where it doesn't feel like the people who you interact with are very excited to see you, but the kids are always happy to see you, and you get a bunch of love from the kids, and it's really a rewarding experience.
Okay. So what's your favorite thing about living in China?
Spring Festival, which is a month off in February, and then summer holiday, which is a month off in August, and National Day holiday, which is a week off in October.
Your holidays are the favorite thing?
Holidays and traveling and the people I meet, it's fantastic.
Okay.
The pay is really good, and the price of living is really low.
So you get to save a lot of cash.
I get to save a lot of cash so I can
spend
travel.
it all traveling.
Yeah, I can spend it all traveling.
No, I feel that. So would you recommend Dotkids, and why?
Yeah, I actually strongly recommend Dotkids. It's a very well organized school. There aren't too many surprises. I've found that working in China can be a bit what's the right word? Kind of fly by the seat of your pants, and a lot of times. Sometimes things aren't as well organized as you would like them to be, having come from either America or Canada or England. It's definitely a different way of organizing people and events and such. But here at Dotkids, they're always really well organized, and there aren't too many surprises. They help you out with getting the visa, all of that, trying to navigate all of the ins and outs and jumping through the hoops. They have a great HR department who helps you out with that, so you never feel like you're on your own trying to navigate through the bureaucracy of all of that. So that's really helpful. And the classes are well organized, the curriculum's well developed, co-teachers are fantastic, the management is good, our co-workers are good.
Overall happy.
Yeah, overall happy. And I've worked in a couple of other training schools and at a public school, and those have been really rewarding, but Dotkids has been probably the best experience I've had.
Okay. What's your favorite Chinese food?
So many. Beijing roast duck is I know I love spicy food. So they have this green bean dish with the spicy peppers and bacon. That's amazing. They have an eggplant dish with green beans and what's in that one? I think it's also bacon, but it's fantastic. Sweet and sour pork. I love eating the noodles here. Are fantastic. Noodles are great. Rice is a staple. Chinese food is delicious. Chinese food is delicious.
Okay. What type of person should not teach English?
Ooh. In China, particularly?
Yeah.
Anyone who isn't willing to kind of go with the flow. If you're too uptight and you really need things to be a certain way, you probably are not material to work in China.
So what type of person should teach English in China?
Anyone who wants to experience new culture, who likes new experiences, wants to do new things, meet new people, anyone who's tired of where they are, that's kind of what got me here. I was so done with the city I was living in. I needed to get out, and I came here, and it's been fantastic.
What's your least favorite thing about living in China?
Least favorite thing about China is probably the traffic. The car situation's a little nutty.
Too many cars.
Well, there's just...
And they don't follow the rules.
Yeah, well, the infrastructure isn't exactly what we would consider fantastic back home. It's definitely a different driving culture than back home. Getting around can be kind of an issue sometimes, but the cell phones have made it very simple. There's an app called Didi. It's like a taxi. All you have to do is type in where you want to go, and it can take you there. Yeah, it's exactly like Uber. Makes it really easy.
What would you say to someone who is on the fence about coming to China?
Someone who's on the fence to coming to China, just do it. If you want to do it, do it. It was a great experience for me. I've really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's a good job. Compared to everything I've done back home, it's been a great experience. The kids are great. The hours are good. The experience of living in China is fantastic. The opportunity to travel on this side of the planet is something you can't really get back home. I mean, you can't just leave for the weekend and fly to the Philippines or India or Japan, but you can do that all from Beijing. It's all very simple.
Cheap flights from Beijing too.
Yeah, really cheap. I mean, the toughest part is getting here.
We'll end it at that. All right, so introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Matthew Connor Bohasic. I am an American, and I have been teaching in Beijing, China for 2 years, and I am on my third.
Okay. So why did you decide to teach English?
I've always had a lot of fascination with the English language. It was my favorite subject in high school, and then when I went to university, I decided to pursue my 4-year degree in English studies. Afterwards, going to a different country and having an opportunity to teach children English as a second language was an opportunity for me to further my craft as a teacher, as well as earn a pretty good monetary compensation for the work as well.
Okay. Why did you choose China over Japan or South Korea?
So all of Asia has a great need for English as a second language teachers. I did look into Japan and South Korea. Japan was a very good option, but the cost of living in Japan is extremely high. So when you try to take your salary and figure out how much you're going to save, you end up losing money in Japan quite often. South Korea was the same way, a very beautiful country I'd love to visit, but is a little too expensive to live. China offered the perfect opportunity to get a good salary that compared to the West, as well as have a low cost of living that allowed me to save money to take back for my future endeavors.
Okay. What is the most rewarding thing about teaching English?
Probably just to see the progress that your children make. A lot of the kids I've had since they were in pre-kindergarten. Barely able to walk, barely able to talk, snot running down their nose. But after 2 years, I can talk to them now. They can tell me how their day is. They see me and they smile. We have a relationship built up. And it's the kind of relationship that you can only really have between an ESL teacher and an ESL student. Because there's a cultural divide, the relationship you build feels more pure because you're two people from different places that are connecting over this knowledge of your language.
Okay. Would you recommend Dotkids and why?
I would absolutely recommend Dotkids to anyone looking to break into English as a second language for the first time. Primarily because this company has been very good at making sure all of my documents have been in order. In a country like China, where the bureaucracy is very large, you can find a lot of schools that do not do the due diligence of making sure your visas are in order, of making sure your work permit is in order, making sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed to make sure that you have no legal problems while you're here. And the school has also always paid me on time. They've always been fair about how many hours I work, and anything you do, you're fairly compensated for. So as far as I'm concerned, as someone from America, this company does very well at making sure it holds itself up to American business ideals.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about living in China?
So that's a multifaceted question, right? I love living in China because I get to teach English. It is a passion that I get to fulfill through my work. But beyond that, just the cultural aspects of China have been deeply fascinating. Being able to be 24 hours immersed in a culture that's not your own, be exposed to the language, exposed to the food, getting to see all the cool cultural sites of both old China and new China as it's developing. It's one of those things that if you came to visit, you'd get a little bit of it. But once you live here and you become part of the community, it's something that you can't compare with just a visit.
Okay. What is your favorite Chinese food?
My favorite Chinese food is a tie between a dish called disenchen, which is eggplant, a gravy sauce, and potatoes, and gudetong, which is a soup that has a tomato base with egg and celery. It's a good palate cleanser if you have a wide table of food.
Okay. What's your most memorable in-class moment?
Oh man. That's another hard one too. I would say my favorite in-class moment was I had a show and tell day once. And it was all of my kids who were moving up to the older levels, the levels where we start to learn grammar, we start to talk a little more in depth about topics. And I wanted them to bring in one thing from their house that they found special, a treasure. And one of my children brought in a hamster. Now, I told them they could bring anything they wanted. And naturally, they took that to the extreme, and this rodent is sitting in my class, and this kid is just cheesing from ear to ear. He's so excited to have his hamster in class. One of the other kids was allergic to the hamster. So we had this huge debacle of one parent being like, we can't have a hamster that is an animal my son is allergic to, but we can't take the hamster and put him outside because it's a small, frail animal. So having to coordinate in a language I don't really understand, Chinese, how to help both those students' needs, it was definitely a day I'll never.
Alright, so use one word to describe your career teaching English.
Oh man, one word. It would probably just have to be beneficial. You know, just generally beneficial. Monetarily, it's been beneficial. I've been able to save money. Intrinsically, it's been beneficial. I got to leave my country and explore a lot of the world, other parts of Asia. It's been beneficial and positive, probably just in the most general terms.
Okay. What do you not like about living in China?
It'd be the language barrier, probably more so than anything. And because of the way the government is structured, it's a bureaucracy more so than America is. So simple things like kind of going to the bank and doing everyday transactions, there's a lot more red tape you need to go through. There's a lot more forms that need to be filled out. And there's kind of a Byzantine, kind of labyrinthian style to all of this where you'll get your 240Zs. You gotta take these 240Zs over to counter 6, and the counter 6 will give you another form that you take over to this counter, and then maybe after 6 or 7 hours you'll get the thing you need. But that is just the nature of the kind of structure that they have, and the times you encounter them are rare. So it's not an everyday impediment, but the days where you have to go deal with the hospitals or the government, those days can be pretty stressful.
Okay. What type of person should not teach English?
So the kind of person who should not teach English are probably twofold. The first is if you don't have a desire for English as a subject, you probably wouldn't be effective at teaching it. I could never be a math teacher because I disdain math. Also, teaching English in the States is going to be different than teaching English in a foreign country as a second language teacher. Someone who may excel teaching a native speaker of the language may have difficulties as a second language teacher. So before you make a decision to come and teach a second language, making sure you have patience and making sure you have realistic expectations about what your classroom progression is going to be like, I think are going to be vital. your kids are not going to be able to learn at the same pace as a native speaker would because they're not exposed to it as much. But if you're realistic about the expectations about how your students will progress, you're realistic about the culture that you're going to find yourself in, and you're realistic about the kind of patience and pedagogy you're going to need, then you can overcome any of the other personality traits with due diligence.
Okay. Let's say you meet someone who is on the fence about coming to China to teach English. What do you say to them?
Do your research. The best way to make a decision is just to have all the facts. Look online, figure out what is the cost of living in the city I'm looking at. What is my job going to pay me, and is that number enough to make it worth it? Once you pass the monetary side, look at the cultural side. Am I going to be okay living in a country where I don't speak the language? For me, I was, but a lot of people find that very difficult. Are you going to be okay with maybe working on weekends and only having one day off a week? If so, then that's something that would be fine. Would you be okay with having to be flexible? A lot of these jobs, you kind of need to fill the role that needs to be filled at the time. But if you're flexible and you do your research and you make yourself have realistic expectations, then I think the opportunities provided by these kind of jobs are invaluable.
Okay. I can't think of any other question. Can you?
No, I guess the last thing I should say is just I've had an amazing experience here. I've been here for 2 years. I just signed for a third. I plan to do ESL for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Everywhere in the world needs ESL teachers. The Middle East, Asia, South America, Africa. You can throw a dart at a map and find someone that needs you. And depending on what you're looking for, whether it be a cultural experience, a monetary gain, or maybe just something to do for a year, there's somewhere in the world that fits you. But good research and due diligence are going to be your greatest tools in order to find that spot.
Perfect.
All right.
That's it.